Hey everyone, this is Alaska from Call Out Culture. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. And if you are enjoying the podcast and you feel inspired to start your own, let me tell you about the system that we use. It is called Anchor. Best things about Anchor, it's free. There's tools that allow you to create and record and edit your podcast right from your phone and your computer. You can even add a song from Spotify directly from into your episodes. The possibilities are endless of what you could create, whether it's like music analysis or your own radio show or something that the world's never heard before. I don't know what that is. You figure that out. Not my job, yours. Anchor is going to distribute the podcast for you so it'll be heard on Spotify, Apple, and all the other podcast tunes you can use. Like all you do is you upload your podcast and boom, it appears in the other feeds. You can also make money through advertisements like this, or you can also set up like your own sort of Patreon fan support thing. There's no minimum listenership, and everything you need to make your podcast is in one place. So if you want to do a podcast, you want to be like us here at Call Out Culture, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm and get started. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special episode of Call Out Culture. I'm here by myself today. Zilla's on vacation. Castro is taking time to heal. And I got some very special guests joining me. I've had this idea that I've wanted to tackle for a while, talking about the New York independent underground hip hop scene from like the mid 90s to like the mid 2000s. And you know, we got some good folks here with us today. We got Brewin with us. We got GENG. We got Cryptic One, and we got Wiseguy and Gaston. First time guests. And these folks are all super important, super were involved in the scene. And, you know, maybe if you all just want to really quickly introduce yourself, tell everybody, you know, what you were doing during that time, that would be kind of cool. Like just sort of how you came upon this scene. You know, if you want to start with Breeze, maybe, and we could work our way around the circle from the way that I have it set up on my screen.
Yeah, man, the scene was, I guess I was kind of around at the real infancy of it, maybe even a little bit before with some key players. I guess connecting with Bobito real early on. I kind of almost signed with him and Pete through Hoppo. So then he was kind of putting me on. He was like, yo, you know, since, you know, we kind of talking, why don't you just kind of come and check some of these events that I'm either hosting or I'm involved with. So like that was probably my introduction. At the same time, there were other stuff going on, like Lyricist Lounge, and, you know, like I remember I went to one and then I forgot who was there. But then my brother went to the one that had Foxy, which was very early. And, you know, it just stuff was popping up, you know, and for me, it was just like, up until then, I was, you know, performing at like birthday parties and on the block and high school parties and community center joints. You know what I mean? Talent shows. So it was definitely a step up from, you know, just being a local kid in the Bronx and Westchester, and then coming down there and just seeing cats from all over the city, beyond the city, Jersey, Long Island. And it was dope, you know, just like going to Nuyorican. There were other spots in Brooklyn. I can't remember the names. But it was bug because I guess really at the time, even right before that, like we were kind of signed and they were having shows at like Carbon or like major like clubs. And then it would be like Junior Mafia and the Juggernauts, right? And it was like,
Wow.
So we would be there and there'd be like people there to see us, you know what I mean? Which was like really cool. But we would definitely felt more like they were obviously there to see like the Junior Mafias. We did shows. I mean, the earliest show I remember doing was in the Castle in the Bronx. It was a showcase, and I was the one when Hove was there. So it was like an artist, like a label showcase. and it was like, you know, we rocked before Hove, or did Hove rock before us? I don't know. Either way, it was these type of events, and they were mad.
So what you're saying is Hove might have opened for the Juggernauts.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it was a random list of performers, and we just happened to be one of them. The Hove, and the Castle was a big deal for me. You know about the Castle. That's where Slick Rick. Yeah. There's a shootout happened. That's where they shot strictly for the ladies. So that was a major in the Bronx. That was a big deal for me. But it was like once stuff started happening downtown, it was a different vibe. Like those events downtown, it felt more like for us, if there was a us. It started to feel like, all right, cool. There's a us. Like it's like this is our shit. It's not us rocking with, you know, these major labels. It was like kind of us doing our thing. And then that's where like the independent thing started coming out and just everything that was going on. And that's when I started meeting the Wiseguys and the Gastons and, you know, the LPs and all of y'all. And, you know, it just became like, wow, you know, this is our shit. And Club Vinyl and like these type of events were like cater-made to us and our audience and our peers. So it definitely felt like, damn, this shit is a shift. And I mean, shout out to the Nuyorican, man. Like that joint, you know, that really was everybody's like, I don't know, like real first taste of what it was gonna be like. And you know, shout out to Rocky. And I mean, I'll let the experts speak on that. But it was for me to like just be there at that type of event. It felt like, this is it, you know.
Word. Thank you. So gang, what about you?
So I was one of the peace, by the way. I was one of the young guns in the scene. You know, still in high school. I was in high school. I was like a freshman in high school in '95, right? So like Purple Tape and all that was like my summer, and I was coming in with that. But essentially, '95, I started DJing and then going to Fat Beats, finding out about that through just some random internet search, basically, I feel like. And it was like early internet. So it was just like someone's like literal like Angel Fire page or some shit, you know? And I remember like Sandbox Automatic, what became Sandbox Automatic, that cat Mercer, who runs or ran Sandbox Distribution. Like he had a little like vinyl trade or like rare, like he was selling like rare promos or whatnot. So I think like the first time I found his page and I was like, I've been looking for that all city Metro theme 12-inch. And I remember like setting up a meeting at Fat Beats outside to give him $20 for that record. So this is obviously pre-Discogs, you know, Discogs wasn't even a thought in a love letter, you know what I'm saying? Like this was early. And then I go inside Fat Beats and it's just like, yo, what? Like, this is like Joe Sinister was working there from the X-Men or the Executioners. And it was just like, yo, okay, I gotta, like, this is gonna be my weekly, you know, my weekend's like spot, you know what I mean? You know, getting into shit via like Voodoo, like Natural Elements records. You know what I'm saying? Like Mr. Voodoo's Lyrical Tactics was probably the first piece of wax from that crew that I had. I remember going into Fat Beats early on around that, I mean, that year, like 96, getting Fun Crusher on the, you know, the clear vinyl, the EP, off the recommendation, you know what I'm saying? And I believe that same story is to be told about a certain Juggernauts album, you know what I'm saying? On Fondulum, and on a label it was called Fondulum. I was just like, yo, this like white label is crazy. Okay, word. No album, no cover art, but just like, all right, off the recommendation, off the cue card. So just like getting into it from off the music side, and also just like starting to go to shows. 97, that's when I started to really go to shows heavy. Like once I went to the first one, it was a wrap. You know what I'm saying? Because I step in and it's just like, I think it was the Wetlands. It was summer. It was the Puerto Rican Day Parade weekend in 97. So and back then the shit was live, you know what I mean? So like there was already like wild electricity in the air, and it was the ITF, like the turntable battle, like eliminations or whatever, like East Coast eliminations or something. I was actually literally trying to find the flyer. Organized Confusion was hosting it. CoFlow, I think the Arsonist, Natural Elements, some other folks were like billed to perform, and they went on at like 3 a.m. Like it was a long, because it's a turntable-less like event. So I'm just like, yo, like I'm in awe, but I'm also just like in zombie mode after a minute. Then like the performances happened later on. Obviously, like Pharaoh was sick, but I remember like Wu-Tang's Triumph was new. Like, or it was just like kind of starting to buzz or whatever. So they played the instrumental. Prince Poe like rhymed over that, and I was just like, yo, this is crazy. Like, just as like a, you know, whatever, a 16-year-old, like just being like, yo, whoa, okay. And then, you know, just hitting the Nuyorican, getting contacts too, just like running into heads. And then, you know, when Fat Beats moved from the east side to the west side, and then Bobito took over the old Fat Beats space for footwork. That's where I first ran in there. Maybe I met Bob first or whatever, and was just like, yo, like props on the radio show. I was locked into 89.9, and also you used to listen to WNYU as well. And it was like Vaz, I remember the time I went in there and I met Vaz, and I was just like, yo, I'm trying to make these mixtapes. You know, like selling mixtapes in high school, whatever, like to my friends and whatnot, but also trying to get the shits into Fat Beats and Harlem Music Hut, Tape Kings, and all that. And I was like, yo, I'm gonna take the independent route. I'm gonna go like just get all these underground cats. Yo, they're ill. Da 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 da. You know, I'm just young, and we're just hype on the energy, right? So I ran into Footwork one day. Vaz is over there. He's just like, yo, we're just talking, shooting the shit or whatever. And I'm just like, yeah, like I'm trying to, you know, get some cast of freestyle on my tapes. And like, so like I had like J Live over the crib, Mr. Complex, you know, certain folks, whatever. And like, he was like, yo, you want Breeze's number? And I was like, facts. Yeah. He's like, all right, let me hit him real quick and see if it's cool, whatever. And then that's so like Breeze, like I connected with you early on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You were still at the youth center and whatnot. And you know, yeah, it was interesting because it was just like, I just think back, I don't know, I said this to you when we reconnected or whatever, somewhat recently. I said this to Al over here, to Crip over here too. It's like, you know, y'all were older than me, obviously, and it was just the fact that like heads made room to include me. That shit meant a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit obviously like left a mark and an indelible impression on me, because I was just like, word, like, you know, like certain things I was being told or whatever, just like lessons being passed down to me. I was just like, I still hold those to this day. You know what I'm saying? Like just whatever, just random shit, random like little echoes from those like phone calls, phone conversations or whatnot. So I definitely want to like acknowledge that and like affirm that and just like say thank you. You know what I mean? Like on some verbal. And then you know, just I ended up calling I got the Center of the Web LP from a friend, and you know, from my man Tage RYB, shout out. And I called the number. He was just like, yo, you gotta connect with the Addams Family cats. Da da da. I'm just like, facts. I called the number, Cryptic picks it up. And it's just like, it's on a Thursday. We're listening to Stretch and Bob. I think we're rhyming for each other. It was like a wild, long phone call. And like, what's up?
Yeah. I remember the call because I remember even, you know, it's my home number on the fucking.
Yeah, facts.
So I'm not answering like CP Records. I'm like, hello? And he paused for a second. He wasn't sure if he had the right number.
I dead thought I was gonna like hit a, you know, like a voicemail or something, you know, or like someone's pager, you know, but basically like leave a message. I mean, that's like null and void to like younger folks listening to this shit today, being like, leave a message, like a pager, what the fuck? But like, yeah, like, you know, I had we had beepers, but nah. And then, you know, started hanging out with going to the Crip in Long Island, making the trips out to Westbury, and then, found myself rolling with Adams for a minute. And, we rolled out to the Nuyorican, and I also used to take a camera out with me as well. Not as much as some other gentlemen on this call, but like I definitely was out there with the camcorder and capturing certain moments or whatever. Like folks know, like I was there for the early Doom shit. Somewhere a co-flow in store was captured, et cetera, et cetera. Not the one that's on YouTube, the Fun Crusher Plus one. So that was part of my interest as well, just as far as like being a participant, not just rhyming, not just DJing, not just hitting like the Nuyorican for the open turntable event, Table Turns, that Sugar Cuts
wow, I forgot
was
about
organizing. That. Yeah, and also Sugar Cuts was on the first Center of the Web.
Yep.
It was on the Center of the Web album, not the first, but just also like documenting shit, just because it was like, I don't. This is special to me. So, we have the tapes. I want to show this to my friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be able to reflect back on this. So I think that's why I was just like running around with the camera too. And I mean, there's some moments that still, are in digital format now. I also interned for Amici. I was on the street. Yeah, this is a funny shit. In '97, before we linked up, I was running around putting slaps up for the Fun Crusher Plus album, and like some of them shits were rocking. Like the placement was, I had a little placement game, so like some of the shits were rocking like in like the weirdest places for like a decade later. Like they were also probably like high quality stickers, but yeah. Anyway, point being. Shout out to Ozone or Official Recordings. They gave me my little internship spring summer '97, and yeah, man. We could talk about the spots and whatnot, but that's pretty much the story. So I was running around with Adams and just getting it in. You know what I mean? On my so-called elements.
All right, Crip, you're next on the order in the window.
My story is pretty similar to everyone else's, a little different because I'm a little older than you guys. So I started out with another crew pre-Adams in like 92, 93, and we were going the whole trying to get signed route. And heavily listening to radio was the start of me hearing anything like in this world, the Stretch and Bobs, Martin Moore, Mayhem, Teddy Ted, Awesome 2, all that stuff, BAU. I couldn't get enough. I was just recording that shit. I'm out in Long Island, so I didn't know about Neo for a while. And I remember specifically reading something, I think it was in The Source, about, what's the name of the spot on the West Coast? Good Life Cafe. Yeah. And I was like, why the fuck don't we have this in New York? Like, and then I met Molecule and those guys from Adams, and he brought a cassette. It was the worst quality cassette I ever heard in my life, but he was like, yo, this is from Nuyorican, you got to hear this shit. And I think the first thing I heard was something from Saul Williams. And I was like, my mind just fucking was blown. I literally went to whenever the next Nuyorican open mic was, I was there. Like, there's no way I was missing out on that. So that's when I started going to Nuyo. This was still like early Adams. I guess it was maybe 95, because we didn't have a record out yet. And it was there where I met, everyone that we've all been talking about. You see guys like Wordsworth going off for hours in the cypher, and that shit blew my fucking mind. And I mean, it became an addiction, like I was traveling, I was in the city more than at home. And if I was at home, the only reason I was there was to record the radio and hear some new shit. And I was DJing already back then, like early. And the record stores I used to hit up were like Rock and Soul. this other spot downtown on Carmine. Can't remember the name of it offhand. But the second I just heard the word Fat Beats, I was like, yep, that's my spot. Like just hearing the word fat next to Beats, I was like, yeah, I don't need to go to another record store. This was when, you know, it was Footwork Fat Beats. And I remember the first time I walked in there and kind of like Gang, I just went to the wall and I was like, yep, buying that. Also ended up with Juggernauts, Co-Flow, Cenobites, pretty much all the Fondlem shit. And I just keep coming back like every week or two and just load up. So that was my introduction to it. There was you know, there were definitely moments at Nuyo that stick with me and people that stick with me. Mums is a big one. For some reason, it's a lot of the poets that stuck with me, oddly, even though I was definitely heavily more MC aligned. But Mums, Saul, I remember Mos Def there a lot. PH, obviously, you know, those dudes. And you know, half the time I travel all the way to Long Island and wouldn't even go in. I'd just be outside for like 4 hours straight, ciphers, hanging out, cops bothering us. You know, that shit was just, couldn't get enough.
Word.
Yeah.
All right, Wiseguy. Is it just you there? Or is it, because it says Wiseguy and Gaston on your screen?
Because I represent for both of us.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I said Gaston before as well. So I was like, oh shit, it might just be Wiseguy.
I'm a little, the reason why I got on a little late is because I spent like 10 minutes calling him trying to get him up, because Gas has been actually sick. If this was yesterday, he definitely wouldn't have been able to make it. But I think he was feeling better today, but he was hoping he could be up for it. And dude is knocked out, I guess. So, but he's been sleeping a lot. So he said, I'm gonna try. I guess he didn't try hard enough.
Well, his rest and health is more important than this conversation. So
yeah. So I'm representing for both of us. We look alike, right. So that helps. So you know, with us, I kind of look like the scene, you know, I kind of look at it like my whole life, where we were young, but we were fortunate enough, we're from the Bronx. We grew up playing our cousin's records, his Sugar Hill records. So I'm starting even before the scene right now. So and so like I remember when Rappers Delight was on the radio and stuff like that. So we were too young to go to the park jams, but we remember hearing people outside playing the boxes. And so it's like we were too young to go see all the rappers at the shows, whatever, but we were home taping the radio. So my whole life we've been recording the radio, recording Mr. Magic at WHBI, WBLS, Rap Attack, Awesome 2, DNA, Hank Love, all on 105.9. And Marley Magic, then Marley and Pete Rock and everything. So we were always recording the radio. And so we were heavy into all from the old school to the late 80s and to the you know, everything, every single era. Me and Gaston were like, fortunate enough, we were young and grew up on it and throughout. So, and when the first time we went to a show, probably that was on the scene, it was probably a Lyricist Lounge. I think it was 94 maybe. Cellar Dwellers. I think the Cellar Dwellers hosted, and well, they were on the flyer. I still got the flyer somewhere. And then we went to another show, like I can't remember, but that was sort of like, I didn't think about the scene. I didn't really know the scene like that. We just went to see the Lyricist Lounge or whatever, first time we heard of it. But I would say my very first time clearly where, you know, like where I could say I became a part, and I like where I would consistently go. The first time I went to, so I'll start it like this. At school, so I went to St. John's University, and you know, listening to NYU. Obviously, we listened to Stretch and Bob, but listening to NYU before the halftime show was Martin Moore and Mayhem. This cat, they would have people call up sometimes and freestyle, and one cat that would do it would come on, call on the radio. His name was A Butter, and they liked him. I was like, yo, he's dope. And then he would continually call every week, and
Remember that?
he was calling his phone and rhyme, and I was like, yo, he's dope. And eventually, since Natural Elements was always on that station, they A Butter eventually connected with them. But it was more so, I don't know if it was he connected with them at this point, or it was just mostly the phone calls. I think he started connecting with them. But next thing you know, after that summer at St. John's, me and AL went to school together. Me and AL skills. And then after that summer of A Butter on the radio, he came to St. John's. So now it was me, AL, A Butter, and my man Absolute, who was always also on the Lyricist Lounge album. So Absolute and A Butter came at the same time. So we're like, I was one extra semester. I should have graduated at that point. And so I was like in my last semester, and they just came in. And AL one day was going to a show and asked me if I wanted to come. I said, yeah. So I credit AL and thank him, because he's the one who brought me to this show at some place called the Nuyorican Poets Cafe. Don't remember if it was words or if it was all that. So we all say the Nuyorican, but I know Rocky likes, it's something that sticks with him, which I understand. Even though it's the Nuyorican, Rocky is the one who really brought hip hop to the Nuyorican. So and had him and had Babito host, so they co-produced. So they originally started all that at the Village Gate, I believe, and then they came to the Nuyorican, I think in '94, with all that. So words and all that at the Nuyorican, and I don't know which show it was, but I came there, and then next thing you know, that was my spot every month, twice, and so I think that first time I went, I met G-Man, GMS, from Hydra, Pumpkinhead, few cats, and so, and I always, like I said, my brother and I, we would record off the radio. So I got tapes back, Mr. Magic, everything, and as you can see, I got a little bit of records. This is only like this is a smidgen of all the records we got in the house, and that's right. Bree saw a taste in our living room.
Damn sure did.
I forgot about that. So we always been buying records, recording. So I had a video camera, so I would film too when I would go to the shows, just for nothing but I like to have everything. I like to archive everything that I love. But we also brought the radio I had instrumentals with beats looping. So the ciphers, we often would have the instrumentals, because I used to hate when cats would have I realize I'm taking up all this time. Let me cut it short. But I used to hate when people would rhyme in ciphers, and it would just be an instrumental, and it would end after 3 or 4 minutes. So I would start looping beats and have them go for like 8 minutes.
Yeah, I remember that.
So some of the other spots. So the Nuyorican was the first place that I really started going to all the time. But again, the Lyricist Lounge, they used to have a show. They also had Solutions, which is what they did at Wetlands. But before that, they had a show called Cream, which they did at this spot. I forget what the spot's called. It's on the same block as it was on the same block as what is that? Is that Avenue A? The Pyramid over there.
Pyramid, I was about to say.
Yeah, but it wasn't the Pyramid. It was another
Right.
spot that they did a thing called Cream at. And then so they would have different shows with different names. Let me see. Actually, I'm very early on. I went to R&R 101, I think it was. Was that what Pays did? And I think that's the first time I saw the Juggernauts. Is this right, Breeze? What was the show called that Pays did?
I think it was shit. He was actually just talking about that shit the other day. Was it on 101? It was something 101 on it. I'm not sure it was on, but it was definitely 101.
So if it was something 101, then I believe it was R&R 101. And what spot was that? Because it was uptown, was it? And you would go downstairs, if I'm correct. Anyway, so that's the first time we saw the Juggernauts. And I still remember, like, yo, guys, they go, Juggernauts. They're meeting you and feeling all good or whatever, like, peace, man. Because, dudes is fans. And I tell my man, one of the groups that I remember one night, the Nuyorican, that I messed up because some cats being ciphers outside, and I always said, I gotta catch the show. I would leave once the show starts. But one day I stayed out, the cipher too long, and by the time I went in there, I missed the one time that Saya and Yeshua did what is that? A Day Like No Other? What's the song? Yeah, they did that the whole song, and I fucking missed like the first half. Wow. So like I missed the first half, so only caught 20 minutes of the song. But I was like, fuck. But anyway, mad memories there, man. But let me shut up because I had a lot. Mine was a long-winded, winded road.
It's all good. It's an important road.
I mean, I was just gonna say, shout out to us, the yellow Sony Sport boombox.
Oh, you remember
that? I have that on tape. I actually have that on video. You know what I mean?
Oh, what? The funny thing is, when I was on the Lounge album, I mentioned it in my. I didn't have. I did have it with me actually, but on outside the lounge, when after I said I got beats, and then Quali said, "Yeah, man, it's always love to be." I said, "Yeah, my little yellow radio." I had to mention that.
I had to. Thanks. That was like a stalwart in portable technology.
So we've all everybody sort of talked about Nuyorican. So obviously it was like a center point for everybody, right? It was like the sort of hub, or it became the hub. It might not have started as that, but what do you think? Well, why don't we tell everybody about the events that were happening, right? Because you addressed words and all that, which were sort of the two defining events, at least for those of us who were into this scene. Wiseguy, you have a special history with it because you're still holding it down. So maybe if you could talk a little bit about Rocky's vision a little bit more, if you could talk about Rocky and who he was and what his hope was setting up these events.
Well, that's funny what Breeze was saying. I'm gonna leave it to some of the experts, and I know he was referring to me and Gaston, since we've been hosting so long. But for me, I'm like, everybody on here might have come to the Nuyorican before I did, because I did the first show I went to was, I believe it was January of '96. Oh, wow. I don't think I made 95. I think it was January 96. If I'm correct. So anyway, but it could have been December. So Rocky and let's say Rocky LaMontagne, right? So to give him his full name, since we're documenting this, and Rocky Presents events. Him and Rocky started it, and he connected with Bobbito, and Bobbito would host, and Bobbito just became a co-producer. And it was a dope match made in heaven because Bob had all the connects with all the MCs, because we all came to check out Bob and the shows, and Bob had the props just because he had the Stretch Armstrong show. And so originally it was all that with the Rocky wanted to combine it with jazz and hip hop. That's why he had the full jazz band. He used to have jazz guests, and then the open mic. And so what was so dope about all that was I'm speaking in past tense since we're going back in the history. It was jazz, hip hop, and poetry. So it's like whether you were a fan of one, you got everything. And then sort of like Cryptic said that some of his memories were the poets, although he came for the MCs. That's how I was. Like, you know, sometimes I used to want the poets to finish so I could hear the MCs. But then I grew an appreciation for the poets, and then had some poets that I really liked as well. And so you got the best of both worlds. And then also the fact that they had the rule that no acapellas, you had to do it to the music. So that sort of forced people to catch the rhyme, the beats that weren't theirs, and get experience rhyming with musicians. Like some people may have never rhymed with live musicians, had it not been for all that, you know. And the poets would do it with music too. Poets, I think, were more disconcerted with it because they were used to just being themselves. But the band would always not overpower them or whatever, and rock with them, and so that vision was dope. But then they came up with Words, which was the showcase and open mic. And that's when Bobbito got to really bring the underground heads to do showcases. And when I first came, I just there was a point where I said, "Yo, when I'm gonna make myself get on the open mic," and I forced myself to get on to get over the nerves and just get on the open mic every time, and that should help me because I progressed and got better. That's the first stage I rocked on, and that's where I got my chops or whatever. And many people share that. Where if it wasn't the first stage, it was where they got to hone their craft. So it was and mad support, and it was just a dope scene. And like Cryptic said before, sometimes he would come and just be outside. There was a show outside, and so after the show inside, the cipher would go on for hours, and sometimes it went on for hours, even longer, because I can't take credit for all of it, but a lot of the times it would continue because I would stay out there longer with the music. I could still remember. It's funny. I was thinking about it earlier. I need to I always apologize to Wordsworth because he was anemic, and he would get cold. Sometimes I'm like, just a little bit longer, and then we would be out there for hours and hours longer. And sometimes cats would break night out there.
I was gonna say I definitely broke night a couple of times out there.
Yeah. So it was yeah, man. So enough respect to Rocky LaMontagne, and and when Bobbito gave it up in '99, for a year, Rocky had guest hosts. So he had.
I could speak to that.
All right. Yeah, speak to that.
You already kind of had held it down, and it was like you were somewhere. So I was like the substitute teacher, and they were like, "Yo, Breeze, come give it a shot."
I didn't know. I didn't hold it down yet.
Well, at some point I think I covered for you, or I was a guest. Anyway, it ain't easy. So I only hosted it once. And I used to love, sometimes I'd be like, either I'm performing or I want to hit the open mic. I just want to get a verse off. But dudes got real sensitive. Some cats, like, the lines would get blurred. So, you know, I was hosting it. I remember it was there was this DJ, I forget homie's name. He was a big Latino cat. What's his name?
Boom. DJ F. Boom.
Boom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, you know, cats try to come up, and I was like, yo, everybody get one verse. Everybody get one verse. You know, if so Cat came up, he tried to rock, and then he was going on, and then I was like, you know, I was like, yo, we got other people. So I cut the beat. I was like, yo, good looking out. Thank you, man. So he was like, he just looked at me. I was like, all right, this is gonna be some shit later. So then, you know, he reluctantly hands the mic, and I was like, all right, man, good shit. You know, other people rocking. So we finished. We outside after. I remember it was me, my first baby mother. It turned into date night, and I'm just chilling after, you know, whatever, just outside. It wasn't really ciphers. It was just cats chilling. It was a nice night. So dude walks up and he was like, yo, man, I ain't like how you cut me off. I was like, excuse me? I was like, yo, man, you gotta respect the venue. This is how it's done. This is how it's been done. You know what I mean? You go up, you know, you kick a thing, you do your thing. And then if you want to get on, you contact and you try to be part of the showcase. That's how it's done. That's the process. So then I seen my baby mom slide off, and then she came back with the DJ, and I was like, so what we talking about? You know what I mean? And homie I was like, they gonna jump me. It was like him and his man. I was like, yo, hosting ain't no joke. The cats get sensitive about their thing. So I just want to say to a brother who's been holding it down for so long, you know, sometimes cats get real sensitive about their shit, and that was one of them nights. And I don't know, maybe I ain't have the, you know, the proper bedside manner or whatever, but you know, I was trying to respect the Nuyorican. You can't just come up and during the open mic and just decide you're going to throw a show. That's not how it works. So anyway, you can continue hosting. Just want to give you your props.
Well, as I was saying, when Bobito left, Rocky had guest hosts, and among them was Breeze, Lil Cy, Pumpkinhead, Wordsworth, Supernat, Craig G. I can't remember some of the others. And then in October of 2000, it was these twins named Wiseguy and Gaston. And so that was our first time hosting, and we were hosting ever since. So
never relinquished the title.
So that was we hosted Words since then, and then so that was 2000 to 2022, and then all that we would always be guest hosts whenever Flaco Navaja couldn't make it or whatever, and then eventually then when he left, we hosted both shows until and Rocky wanted to get another host for all that, and then eventually me and Gaston pitched him Homeboy Sandman, because Homeboy Sandman used to come on an open mic a couple of times. So before he got on the open mic, and he was dope. Me and Gaston like, yo, and bought his CD, and kept telling had him keep coming. He came a few times, and then eventually he started doing other things and started making a name for himself. And we approached him about if he wanted to be a host of all that, because Rocky wanted to host. So then he started hosting that for a while. And then when he stopped, actually no, Goodfella Mike G became a host for a while. And then who else? Whatever different people would host for a while, and when they would stop or have to take off, me and Gas would fill in. And then eventually, after a while, we just became permanent hosts of both shows. So anyway, and just to drop some news here, our last words, all that was in February. Not gonna get into too much of it, but the executive director of the Nuyorican, they had a new regime change, and there was sort of a decision that they wanted to cut ties. They started making all kinds of changes. So at the moment, there's no words and all that at the Nuyorican. Not at the moment, I should say. There isn't any. So I'm breaking news right there with y'all. So we're gonna look for another location. And so it was like the old guy who was there never talked to Rocky. We could never get a hold of him. So there was always a go-between. So we kind of felt like all of the years that we had there, some of the people there didn't respect. And then the person who took over that we thought was going to be a good thing, they didn't have the respect either. And anyway, so that's that. So that history at the Nuyorican unfortunately ended 2 months ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man. But the Nuyorican still that was a legendary spot, man. And
well, salute to y'all, man, for holding that shit down for Jesus. You know,
Yeah.
20 joints. Yeah, I'm 25.
yes, sir.
Yeah, man. That's wild. That's like some people's whole entire lifetime. Some of the artists that are performing there when you were there probably weren't even born. You took over.
Oh, let me say, a cat who so graciously accepted our offer to do a show at our Words years ago. He did the show, and I asked him, so what are we gonna? So what do we put your name down? What do we put your name down as? Rock? And he said, no, Sean Price. I said, oh, okay.
Wow.
So which was weird to me. Okay. Oh shit. So you can. All right. So your real name. All right. So he was Sean Price. So that was his first show. And so we saw him sometime later, and we said, yo, peace, man. Yo, thanks again for doing the show. He said, yo, anytime. He was like, I'll do it again too, man. Yo. We said, and we thanked him. We said, no, I thank y'all. He said that was my first show, a solo. So Sean Price's first solo show was Words. So that's some history that we're proud of.
That's wild.
Crazy.
And he thanked us for doing that, because it was like he was nervous. He didn't, that was his first time going solo, so it don't matter. You assign that, whatever happens, once there's change, and this is your first time going out on your own, you're gonna feel something, and so and he appreciated us for giving that stage and opportunity, which was dope.
That's real dope. So why don't we take a quick break, and then when we come back, let's talk about sort of some of our like Nuyorican memories, maybe like 1 or 2 performances from the inside that we remember, and like 1 or 2 nights that were just kind of wild on the outside that we remember, and then we'll pick it up in a few moments, and we'll be right back.
What up, y'all? It's Panels, man. East Hampton Polar Boys. When the catalog out now, man. We got CDs, merch, all that. InsubordinateRecords.com, man. Make sure you don't sleep on it, because before you know it, it's going to be all gone. So make sure you head over there, stream it, do all that. Long live Lord Jones, man. Win the catalog, album of the year. You know what it is. Peace.
Hey yo, she caught me fly wool garments from overseas, Bolognese with extra palm, drown rotini, fresh panini, ground bill, chopped garlic and olives, get demolished, fly arrow goddess, never modest, purpose sonics fill my palace, wires missing, acoustics hitting, needle bless the vinyl, been the champion, just give me the title.
Listeners, check it out, Zilla Rocca. Listen, as a shorty, I was playing in the front yard of the crib and I fell down and I bumped my head. And then somebody helped me up and asked me if I bumped my head, and I said, yeah. So then they said, oh, so that means we gonna switch it up on her. And I said, yeah, Andrew is the greatest. And knowing as a shorty, I was always told that if I ain't gonna be part of the greatest, I gotta align with the greatest myself. And that's Andrew. The Rain Knows What Is Doing album available now. Cassettes are sold out, but we got CDs, beanies, dad hats, mugs. It's cracking. $3pistol.com for fans of Beck, Evidence, Buck 65, Daptone Records. If you're with it, spread love. People want the wild shit, we're gonna give you some more. Andrew, The Rain Knows What Is Doing, available now.
All right, so why don't we talk about some of those special nights, at Nuyorican, maybe a couple like key memories of events that happened. Gang, you want to set us off?
For sure. I mean, I don't know. There's plenty of cipher stories and all that. No pun intended. Again, God damn it! I keep saying things that are like keep falling into the trap. Word, kid. Yo, this table's turn, kid. Nah, but I mean, I'll just real quick, just to chime in and echo something that Wiseguy said. About to call you Gaston.
That's fine.
That's fine. Yeah. Interchangeable. Nah, but that was the first stage that I performed in my like so-called hip hop persona. But not on the mic, but it was actually at table turns on like the turntables. It was, I don't know, it was like 97, I believe, and I think it was like 97. Whenever like it was like one of the first table turns, I just did the same thing, forced myself to sign up. Well, I had a routine. I was like, all right, and people was gassing me. Like my friends was like, yo, go on and play this Disney record as your first. I like opened up lip syncing like Home on the Range. Meanwhile, like I'm literally in front of the whole entire like Executioners crew was there. Like Rock Raider was like, Rest in Power and whatnot. That was like the cat that made me want to get technical with it beyond just like cutting and whatnot, like standard cuts, like, you know what I'm saying? So like, just like having them kind of like falling out and being like, yo, this cat is wild. Like, and then just dropping like a beat juggle. And it happened to be the Fire in Which You Burn joint. This is like a few months before A-Track came through and did his, when he was like 15 and did his little version of that. And I was a little salty about that, but like, but onto a different memory or whatever. So I was just gonna say, like, I was just saying that because that was also my first stage, basically. So onto an actual memory though. I mean, it was the shit. I'm gonna pick something that's a little bit the first Doom show. Let's just go there. Like, that's, maybe some people are gonna expect me to say that or whatever, but like, I'm gonna say the first Doom show. 98. It was, oh shit, I forget now. It was October, I believe, 98, and it was a Night Train showcase. And this is pre-mask, stocking cap over half the face. He had a red Phillies fitted on and like a tank top on, and it was he and Megalon. Megalon had like, he might have had a paintball mask on or whatever. Definitely had like full like real tree type camo, not just like standard regular whatever like Army Navy camo, but like straight up like Woolrich hunting gear type shit. And this was like before Operation Doomsday dropped. This is our first time ever hearing the song Doomsday being performed, or just hearing it, period. You know what I mean? Like, that was like, and he wasn't even announced. Like, he wasn't on the flyer. That was the whole thing. It was like a jam-packed night that Vaz had put together and sort of co-organized with the blessings of Rocky. And the whispers were in the air. It was like, oh, Zevlov X is gonna come out and do a show, do a little thing or whatever. Like, Zevlov X is here, and like, half the people there didn't even really know him as MF Doom yet. So it was like this whole kind of like rumbling, and then lo and behold, end of the night or whatever, they play this like, it's like Kinetic, Apex, Ellie. That was the Night Train crew with Vaz. They're on stage or whatever, and they drop the nonfiction MF Doom song. Like, for most people who haven't heard it, like that, most of that room never heard that song. They're playing that shit off a cassette tape, and people are like, "Yo, what is this? Like, this is crazy." You know what I'm saying? Because this is like when Greenbacks had just come out, so like Doom's like second 12-inch had just come out. So and then just like, yo, we gotta someone's behind the curtain, and this cat just comes out, and it's just like, yo, what? And we were in the balcony. I was in the balcony recording it, and we're just banging on it. We like definitely put a good dent into like the AC system, like the piping or whatever, banging on that shit. And I mean, I know Crip was there because like he was like on the ground level. But yeah, it was me and a bunch of TCK, RYB, and a couple other heads in the balcony. And yeah, yo, some of that footage is gonna surface soon through a certain avenue, which I'm pretty hype about because it's the right people. It's people who were like in, very, very close to the source, so to speak. So, can't give too much away about that, but a couple of clips will definitely be popping up. But that shit still to this day, because there's also like wild mystique around it too. Like I'm gonna put this out there too. That book that Stretch and Ev Boogie did about the nightlife flyers. Forget the name of the book. I actually have it somewhere. It's like in storage right now. But in that book, there's a flyer from a Words in '97, and maybe any of y'all could confirm this for me, because I have a vast curiosity about a certain flyer in it, and it has Ursula Rucker, it has Beans from Antipop, and it has MF Doom on it. And I've asked everyone, and no one could recall Doom being there that night. Like, and that would have been Doom's first performance, but no one has photos or any sort of documentation of it. No one even recalls that. Like Ursula doesn't remember, Beans doesn't remember, Bob doesn't even remember. I asked him personally. And Vaz is like, couple heads are just like, nah, like, because we would have been there. And I'm like, facts. So
I'm not sure.
That's floating out, you know what I mean? That's floating out there. That's also like why some people are jacking the narrative that like Doom was at open mics and just hanging out, rubbing elbows with just everybody. Like Doom didn't come, Doom wasn't out there like that. So like that's why that evening for the Night Train showcase was obviously so special, because it was like, not only was this like the first time we're seeing this happen, like we're seeing this voice manifest itself in human form in front of us, and he's also got like the entity kind of built up in a way where it's like, he's got the ghost face thing with the stocking cap and whatnot. He's hiding his identity, et cetera, staying true to what we heard on the record. But it was, it's this thing where like it's like a flash, it's like a flash in the pan like moment. Like you're just like, if you were there, you saw it, you witnessed it, and then he didn't like really perform that much, too much, like a couple more times in the 90s. And then, I have like a show from the Wetlands in 2000. And that, and like Vass is like hosting LPs on stage, like Aesop is there. Like there's a bunch of people. But like, that's like, wait, it's a couple years later.
I have some audio from that show somewhere.
Yeah. If you have good audio of the Doom set, then we should talk, because I have great footage of it. Like I'm like by the side of the stage, like he walks right by me. Anyway, point being, like, yeah, he had like the one joint with Eminem at what was it, SOBs or the Knitting Factory? One of those. Oh no, it was Tramps. My bad. It was Tramps. He had the other joint at Brownies where he had no mask. That was like this. That was the one after the Nuyorican. And then there was a Wetlands one, and it was the Knitting Factory one the same year. And that was kind of it for like that version of Doom, prior to like the Mad Villainies and the Adult Swims and all that.
Right.
So like that's why that shit sticks, stands out to me among the other things that obviously has witnessed, and everything was pretty incredible, to be honest. Not everything. Not let me not say that. Let me not like revise history. Not everything was incredible, but there was plenty of gems every month, basically. So
that's what's up. Breeze, what do you got for me?
I mean, I guess when we went through there and we were kind of at a height, you know, just cats knowing like a lot of the music had me just like really, really hyped because I just respected the place as a, you know, as a institution. So to roll through there, and I mean, I remember being there nights. Sometimes it was hard just to get up in there. I remember seeing most in there, way in the back, like tight in the back. I remember seeing Last Amp. I remember seeing Necro. Like it could get packed in there. You know what I mean? So sometimes you just like squeeze in and go to the right, and like it took a lot of effort to get up to the front. And I was like, hey, I'm in. That's good enough. But I seen cats. I remember a lot of poets. Nympho 9. I still remember the poem, Dripping Blades of Pestilence.
Yeah, Nympho 9 was my favorite.
And that joint ain't published to my knowledge. I just remember from the performance. It was that, I mean, just remarkable. And, you know, it definitely just got you hype. It sounded, I mean, compared to other places, the sound was compressed enough that it just felt like you were just in it. You were just kind of like really a part of it. And I just, you know, there were times where I was up in there drunk. Like I fucked up a lot of verses. I would try some new verses. I remember I would always like, you know, try to bring Trez or try to get other cats to come through. And it was competitive, but it was the type of competition where cats were like really supportive. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to think in my mind. I've been there. I can't remember nobody getting booed. Like if I really think hard,
I got a story for you.
All right. Well, I can't think of.
Yeah, that's what I loved about the spot. Like Bob didn't really let people get booed, and me and Gasser carried on that tradition.
Yeah, and
but sometimes it might happen though. But
I mean,
rarely.
You know, there was some open mic times where cats came and you know they were not appreciated. But I think if cats were invited and they came through, and you know, like there was just the crowd was like hella knowledgeable, and it was, you know, in a lot of ways you were preaching to the choir. So with that, you know, I would try a new verse or try a different beat, just to give cats something different. So that was like in a joint. But outside, I just, you know, I mean, I wasn't there every week. I'm not even gonna front. I was there enough, but you know, I had young children. I was, you know, a lot was going on. But so to me, it was like a treat to go through there. And you know, I remember like for a lot of cats, it's the first time I met dudes. And you know, dudes that stick out. Everybody says Words. Words was just, I mean, he was an assassin. But PH, you know, I remember before he really had music out, I just remember him just really going in the ciphers, just like really just being ridiculous. And you know, it was just, I wish I spent more time there. But the time, you know, for the most part, it was just like, it was just all shit, you know. And there was a lot of other spots, you know. I'm don't want to take away from the other spots, but they were all trying to play catch up to the Nuyorican at the time. And I think, you know, if they being honest, there should be no problem admitting that. But just, it was hip hop, you know. It was definitely our hip hop. And I'm just, you know, glad I could have been there for the limited time that I was.
That's what's up. Crip, before I come to you, I just want to tell Breeze a funny story. So the second time we ever performed at Nuyorican. The first time we got real great response. Second time we were like, yo, we want to go on last. We want to end the night because we thought we were hot shit. We thought we were the dopest. And the poet that went on right before us was Saul Williams. And he did that, I am public enemy number one, that whole poem. Mm-hmm. And then we went on. And it was our second live performance ever. And the whole audience started chanting, scales, scales, show us some scales. So it was like, fuck, like we just had to go through a whole set, like looking at our shoes. We got outside and like you said, everybody was supportive. Like, Yeshwan Sire were out there, like, yo, don't worry about it. It's cool. And like Pays, everybody was like real supportive. But it was important because it was like, we thought we were hot shit. We had to get knocked down a peg. And it made us hungry to come back and prove ourselves. So the next time we came back, we performed, we got really good response, like Crazy Legs dapped me up on the way out. I go outside and I'm kicking it with Pumpkin. And he's like, yo, that was really good. I never saw you guys perform. I was like, last time we performed, we had a whole crowd of people talking about skills. He's like, oh, that was y'all? That was us. We were all drunk and we just started chanting. I was like, you motherfucker, man. Amazing. So, Crip, I'll let you take it from there.
That was funny.
Well, to build off of that, one very memorable moment for me on some narcissism shit is your first performance, because that was the first time any of my beats were like played live, and I had a DAT player, so I was in the back, and I remember like the first 5 seconds of the first beat dropping and heads were nodding, hands were in the air. I was like, oh shit, like that feeling, that's a feeling I still chase to this day. Of that moment, that's what I if the beat's not doing that to you, then it's the wrong beat. Let me throw it away. So that moment was big. That's not what I was gonna say. The moment that really hits me is outside in the ciphers when Cannabis was there. You remember that? Were you there for that?
I was, yeah. We ended up like rhyming all the way to Pious.
Yeah. We wound up, it was like Adams wound up battling some kids, and Cannabis, we didn't know him from shit. He jumped in on our side, and this was when he was like doing guest features on everybody's shit. I was like, oh shit, Cannabis is not only here rhyming, but he's like battling these kids with us. And that shit stuck with me forever. Like, it was just kind of like this weird like feeling of like, oh shit, we're rapping with someone who's like for real made it, like doing songs with like Lost Boys and shit like that. Shit was like, what? But other than that, were y'all at the Company Flow showcase, the one that was fucking packed beyond belief? Like people were waiting outside trying to get in. The energy inside. Make it to that one. Yeah, the energy inside was nuts. Couldn't hear shit, but like, cause it was I don't even know, man. Fire marshals must not have existed over there, because the way that was legal. I'd never seen it that packed and that loud, and the crowd knew. I mean, this is Company Flow, but everyone knew every fucking word, like it was just nuts.
I was there. I can't remember so much, but I was there.
Yeah, that I'd never seen the energy like that crazy. Like it was just, it wasn't it was about the music clearly, but like you couldn't hear the music almost, but it was just everyone was locked into the same like frenetic energy of just like, I don't know, it's just a real hip hop moment for me that really stuck with me. And I just remember like being extremely physically uncomfortable, because you're like shoulder to shoulder, people bumping into you every like 2 seconds, and I'm like just trying to chill and enjoy this shit, but that shit didn't matter, man. It just, I don't know, that moment. And I don't even remember when it was. I think it was pre Fun Crusher Plus, like maybe like right before that was happening. But yeah, that's my moment at Nuyo. There were plenty of moments at other spots. I think it was at Vinyl that I met you, Alaska, and we were cypher. I don't remember. I think it was like Nonfiction, maybe Co-Flow.
Nonfiction, Co-Flow, Natural Elements. I think Breeze, I think y'all performed at that show.
Yeah,
too,
that was a show when L had the mask.
Yeah.
When we did Clear Blue Skies together.
Clear Blue Sky.
Your mask. Yeah. And
that was a crazy fucking show.
That was insane. Yeah.
I feel like that's like the Velvet Underground moment for like the scene, like the underground scene. Like they say Velvet Underground's like the band that, you know, spawned a million other artists. Like, I feel like that show was the show for like this underground scene. Like everybody I know who went on to do music was at that show.
Yeah. That was where I met PH at that show. I was a little starstruck by that because I just heard his joint on Bobito, knew all the words, and I'm like, he's like, yo, what's up? I'm Pumpkinhead. I'm like, what? Like, I got fucking a little nervous and shit. You could do. And I remember us ciphering in the bathroom. Remember that shit? That for like an hour straight. It's a real weird place to cipher, but like, you know, the acoustics are good. But yeah, other than that, like Wetlands was always a good jump off spot. I think that's where I met you, Breeze. I think we did a show like Center of the Web, Juggernauts and Co-Flow, maybe even Natural Elements. I think Sugar Cut together that show.
I think that was one of them Sugar Cuts.
TC Islam.
Yeah. Wetlands was dope.
Yeah.
That was my spot.
Yeah.
I like Wetlands a lot. That was a good place to go and get drunk too.
Was that?
It was a good place to go and get drunk.
Yeah, they all kind of were though.
Yeah, that had like the downstairs area you could go and chill, like if you need to get away.
Just to touch on something you just said, Cryptic, about how like you were a little nervous with Pumpkinhead. Isn't that like the beautiful thing about the scene? And this tells you how serious we took the music and how big and serious it was. We're talking about a bunch of underground heads without major record labels, record deals, but we looked up to cats. And you, like, when you say Pumpkinhead, you're like, whoa, me and Gas, like, yo, that's Breeze, the Juggernaut. You know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, that shit is real, yo. Like,
we started talking, we were like from the same neighborhood damn near. So like we connected like real easily.
Yo, I still remember when I introduced myself to you once later at the Nuyorican, like peace up Wiseguy, and we met before. So you was like, yo, I know who you are, yeah, and that shit was like, oh shit, you know who I am. So like, and I tell to this day, I tell Yeshua, I'm like, yo, I've told him this like a dozen times over the years, that he was one of my favorite MCs from the scene. Yeah. And like, cause I'm with, yo, like letting cats know. I don't get, like when one time when GMS came to our crib when we lived in Queens, Briarwoods, this was about like maybe, I'm gonna guess like 2004 or something like that, or 2003, he came and then he saw all our records, and then he saw records like, he saw Pumpkinhead, he saw Breeze Overflowing, like everybody's it's like, yo, y'all got, I'm like, yeah, yo, I know all these cats, but that don't mean shit. I'm a fan. I'm buying everybody's shit. You know what I'm saying? So I got everybody's records at home, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not one of those cats. It's like, yeah, I know him. Yeah, I know him. Like, yo, nah, dudes, like cats that I know, regardless of friendship, I'm a fan. And before it became, you know, I remember a Punchline of Wordsworth, the first time they came, everybody said, yo, that's the dude, they were just on the radio. Those are the cats that were on Bob on Thursday. That was the dope thing about Words. Cats would get on Stretch Your Bobito on Thursday before the show, and then they do Words on that Saturday. And that was like the ultimate advertisement for the show. You know, and you come to see the people that you just heard on Bobito Stretch.
Right. I remember being online outside the Nuyorican, like showing up. There was already a line, and I'm walking down, and Pumpkinhead's promo for Bob came out, the Laughing Syndrome one.
Yep.
And I was walking past the line, and I never met Pumpkinhead before, never seen him before, but I heard him talking, and it was that voice, and I was just like, "Yo, you're Pumpkinhead." And he was like, "Oh." I was starstruck. I was like, just like you guys were saying, like, "Oh my God, like that thing's the best thing I ever heard."
That's dope.
Yeah.
You know, and like where the same way that this makes Breeze kind of shy, like you know, but this is real. Like all of us, we have those feelings for cats that we revered and we'd become friends with, but you know, regardless how underground or whatever, you know, you look up to cats or like, yo, that's, you know, that shows you the gravity and the magnitude of Stretch Armstrong, Bobito, of the scene, of just, you know, the whole underground scene.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
cats didn't have to be signed.
No.
They didn't have to be signed for you to be starstruck.
The quality of some of the tapes that we would have, like that were just traded through like 9 different people, and it would be mostly hiss.
Yep.
You'd have to turn that shit all the way up to like, as far as your hour stereo would go, turn that shit all the way up to like 50 just to hear the verses. And we would study those tapes, man. We would just like, you know, get blazed out of our minds and just listen to those tapes and be like, "Yo, do you hear what Breeze did there?" And it's like, you hear how it rhymed this word over here, and then 8 bars later, it rhymed again after all that other internal rhyme scheme. We're like, how do you do that? Like, we would just study it like that, man. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I'd never heard anything like
I got
that
my
before.
I got my homegirl into the Juggernauts, and gave her an album, and I had to break down some of the words because speaking, since Cryptic is on the screen, that's perfect because Breeze's flow was like Cryptic. Like, you know, you got like, he didn't say I want to get old. He said I want my wrinkles and my hairline wide receding. You know,
Yeah.
like so I had to, you know, like I love that shit. So I had to break down all that stuff for her, or whatever, and then she grew to love it. And so, what did he say here? Yeah. So
I still have, like, with my daughter, when she's like leaving, she forgets something. I'm like, "You got that?" She's like, "No." I was like, "What's the rule?" She's like, "I'd rather have it not need it than need it and not have it."
Oh man.
yo, that gives me chills right there. That was the time in the show for the crowd to get busy, and like we're all one when that line comes up, and that shit felt good. Like it had to feel. It's hard to believe that feels as good to you, Breeze, hearing the crowd say it, because it is good as hell saying it together.
It's up there as false. I'm like, yo, we coming to it. It's coming, and then we all together. We all rocking. But that's the thing. Like, you know, when people say underground, this and that, and you know, like, there's very few cats who elevated above, and even if they did, I feel like they still were like, nah, that's part of my fraternity. So, you know what I mean? It's just like, like it's cool, like y'all saying, like, I'm a fan of y'all, of everybody here, but it's like we were there was a certain amount of humility still kind of like embedded into it. Cause it's like, you know, nobody became platinum, you know what I mean? And it's like, even for the cats who reached a different level, the respect would always be there.
Yeah.
I remember most, when I was later working at Fat Beats, and most came in, and you know, I was like, "Yo, what's good, man?" And it wasn't like he was like the mighty Most Def, I mean, or Yasin, or it was just, you know, this dude who used to body stuff outside of, you know, the Nuyorican. And he was like, "Yo, how's your sister?" I'm like, "Yeah, she chilling, man." "All right, man." Give him a pound, you know what I mean? And it's just like, you know, wasn't nobody really above nobody. Like, everybody was just like getting up there and trying to just shoot their shot and just trying to make their mark. And that's what I really dug about it. You know, like the cats who kind of thought like too early, like they was, you know what I mean? It was like, all right, cool. You know, you could think that, but you know, this cat gonna come on with this verse that's gonna make you feel insecure in the best way possible. You know what I mean? So it's like, I dug that about it. I dug that it was like you was going to stay humble if you cared about the art form, because there was just so much talent. And it could be a dude, like you said, that comes at the end of the night, kicks his rhyme, don't got no record out. But you're like, yo, that cat right there with the, with the lottos on, like you know what I mean? Like you need some kind of way to describe him, because other than that, you ain't know nothing about him.
No, I remember there was a dude, I can't remember his name, he was dope as fuck too, but he used to always come like right after work, and he would be in a suit, and he would get on stage, he'd kill his verse, and he would just cipher outside all night in a suit. I can't remember his name for the life of me.
No,
you talk about shit.
But he was so dope.
Shit. Like my complexion, glasses?
Yes.
Maybe. Yeah, you talk about my man. Oh my goodness. Can't believe I just shit. Man. I can't believe I'm like he
I mean, I think Breeze brought up a good point. Like it was definitely just about love, right? More than anything. But I got a question for you guys, and maybe this is like just my memory, like not working as well as it used to. But did it seem like there was a point where there was like a certain level of like dudes that were there before like we all started coming and like being in the scene that were sort of like older? They were maybe like in their 20s.
I'll give you a good example.
They live.
Power Rule.
Was that? Yeah. And then, but once we all started coming, they stopped coming around.
I remember the last time that I saw Power Rule, I think the same night that I saw maybe Necro. But at any rate, you could tell like there was a changing of the guard. And I dug Power Rule.
Yeah.
But it was just like, I don't know, it just seemed like a lot of us were like, yeah, good shit, but he was before
this is ours now.
He was before us.
Yeah.
And it was I often think of those dudes, and even now, like, we were talking before, like they're just still getting out there and trying to rhyme. And it's like, there's a new wave, what I mean? There's a new regime. But again, that respect, I think it has carried on. They know that, these cats were out. They were actually out there, they were putting out records.
Yeah.
They were, they were throwing up flyers. Like, so I think a lot of these young cats who, they see that with a certain romanticism and a certain level of respect. So, they're like, you get the invite, you got a shot to try to come and do your thing. And, we still love it. So we still out here. I don't know, man. It was a beautiful thing to be a part of, and the timing was definitely like in our favor, and it echoes. It continues to echo.
Yeah.
When I first started going there, this is so because like, and a lot of you guys proved that you were there before me because y'all saw Nympho 9. When I first got there, all I heard was Free Nympho 9. Free Nympho 9.
Yeah.
So he must have just went away or something when I got there. So when I got to meet him years later, he came around and he did words, all that, or got an open mic, and then we had him do the showcase as Anthony Alonso. And this is probably like 2009, 2008, something like that. So he had got out, and I let him know, yo man, respect. Yeah, I knew you was Free Nympho 9. I let him know. That's all everybody said. Like my first year, that's all I heard. And then the other things that I heard was when I got there, it was like so when you, like you said, older heads. I got a sense of cast that they were there. They were regulars. The tail end of when he would come all the time, Mr. Live, because he was he was original J Live. He was J Live before who we know as J Live now came out. Yeah. And so he used to always, that was a point of contention with him. And then the crazy thing is, this is a story. Yo, Breeze, you remember this song? Well, some of y'all might remember, I don't know. It was an underground joint, but it was a group called E&J, called Taking It Easy. Take it easy. I can't sing. You remember that?
I remember that joint. Yeah.
And me and Gas, we got the record. We used to love that shit. We were playing it one day, like we do play our old records. And then I think at the same time we heard something. Yo, did you hear that? We turned it back, and because this record is on Profile 1990, and dude says we like, yo, we heard it at the same time. We brought it back, and he said, "What the J Live bring?" He said J Live, and we heard it was Mr. Live's voice. Oh shit!
Yep.
And we called him, and he said, "Yo," and he's like, "Yo, you put me on the spot, or you blowing up my spot?" Like, yeah, that was us. So that was proof on wax that he was original J Live.
Yeah,
so
I remember that
record.
joint.
So
on like you saying, Hank Love and all that. I remember them playing that joint.
yeah. Did you know that was him?
I ain't make the connection.
Yeah, you wouldn't, because it was E and J.
Yeah,
But so we got the vinyl. So and then what else? Suhair used to be there all the time when I first got there. And talking about moments. And just Cryptic when actually with Cannabis, GMS and Hydra, they brought Cannabis there that night. So I remember when he rocked and rhymed, and Bobito eventually said, yo, that's it, because he was kicking the 80 bar verse, and Bobito cut him off. Breeze style. Then a moment I remember is Chaclair from T-Dot from Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Were anybody here when he performed? So Chaclair, he was down with Socrates and them in Toronto. And he came, he did a show. This is the first time I saw somebody really, he really did a show. And he had them giving out chocolate bars, like chocolate bars. It said chocolate. So that was dope. And then other moments. Breeze, did you when you were talking about when you had an LP do Clear Blue Skies with you? Did y'all do that to Nuyorican as well?
Nah, we only did it that one time in vinyl.
Well, that's only a one-time vinyl. So so I was at that one. That was fucking classic. Another moment. When Mos Def, Mos Def, some kid, this white kid, and this, I forgot his name. And he said something with this him in the crowd while Mos was on the mic, and Mos battled him, or he just
wasn't he hosting or something? I think
he was hosting.
He just destroyed the kid for a minute, and it was uncomfortable but dope as fuck. Like
yeah. That was a moment. Like I said, that I missed the beginning of it. Saya and Yeshua were doing that shit. That was early on when I came there. What else? Countless cipher moments. But yeah.
Was the cipher with C-Rays and Slug, and there was somebody else? Was C-Ray, Slug, and L?
Oh, I was there for
that. Was that at Nuyorican?
Nah, that was at I want to say it was like outside of like Bowery Ballroom or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Why, there's video of that somewhere?
I think there's video of that somewhere.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember outside of Wetlands, when the Outsiders performed, and Eminem was with them, and then outside, M was battling somebody, and Cass was loud. I could just remember Young Z saying, "Yo, be quiet for the white boy. Make some room for the white boy."
Remember a Wetland show with like Necro and his crew, and his crew started like robbing people's cameras mid-show.
Wow.
Like at Wetland, they were just like dudes like with cameras. They just like punch them in the face and take their cameras.
Yeah. Wow. That was a wild show.
Yeah.
I have the.
I'm glad I'm glad I wasn't at that one. Guys like, yo, Wiseguy, you got that footage? Well, I did. Necro got it.
Necro got it. It's in his new movie with Uncle Howie. So I guess, we've been at it for a little while. Any like sort of like closing remarks? Any, anything that you want people to understand about what was happening at that time and why it's still important today?
I guess just, it was organic. It was kind of surprising. Like I'm saying, like I was doing shows previous, but it's the community center. It's just not the same vibe. But it was just like, I don't know if anything could be as like the fit could be as good as it was for the moment and for what we needed and for what, like it just set the table for the scene. I don't know if that shit's gonna be like recreated ever. It was just like the timing of it was just really, really perfect. Like you said, with Stretch and Bob on Thursdays and we want to, you know what I mean? It just lined up perfectly. Mayhem and Sunset, everything just led itself. The flow was perfect. I didn't give enough props to Fat Beats. You know what I mean? Definitely that was a meeting spot as well. But man, something about that Nuyorican, man, just getting ready for a Saturday night and it was a destination and just something everybody look forward to. So I'm really grateful for it. Like I said, I wish I spent more time. Don't have kids early. I don't know what to tell you. but if you had like, all the time in the world, like it was there, it was waiting for you. The challenge was waiting for you. The camaraderie was there. And even on a part-time basis, man, it was just, I'm really fortunate to be a part of it on some level.
Crypt?
Yeah, I mean, that shit was, I was already 25 when I was going there, but I feel like those were my formative years. Like I would not be who I am without that scene, without meeting y'all and everyone else in that scene. It was, not to be dramatic, but the shit was life-changing for me. Like I didn't have an outlet like that, and there was never another. I don't think there can be another. But, alongside of that, it was kind of like, friendships that I still have are from those places. The memories I have of it are some of my fondest memories. Fuck high school, fuck college. Like that was my high school and college. That was like where I learned about everything, where I saw that people could do this shit for, not for a living, but just like put out records yourself. Like it was important for me to see that people that were my age or younger had records out like that. That was kind of like, okay, everyone kind of looked at me like the old cat at 25, but they're like, yo, you know what you're doing. I didn't know shit. But yeah, man, I look back on it. I'm glad that people talk about it still to this day. And I can see the influence of that era in stuff still to this day. And that's kind of just cool to see it, even though people may not even realize they're influenced by it because it's not direct, but it's like a couple generations down. But it's just cool to see that scene had an impact on culture that no one could have really predicted. And yeah, man, it's just happy to be a part of it in whatever little way we were.
That's what's up. I'm going to drop a couple quick things about my experience, and then Wiseguy, I'm going to let you take us home since you are the godfather of the Nuyorican. So, I mean, for me, it's like kind of the same things that you all said. Like my very first time ever performing was, I think it was at All That at the not at the Nuyorican Poets Cafe, at El Puente High School. They used to do like, an annual fundraiser over there. And it was the first time I ever was on like a stage, like in the city in front of people. I like been in ciphers and battles before, but never on stage. And I rapped. I was like just looking up at the sky the whole time. I was scared to death. Bobito like tapped me on the leg, gave me a pound after my verse. I met Pays, Yishwa, and Sire that night, and like instantly became friends with them. I was like, oh, okay. I know people. Like they embraced us. Like we were like the weirdos that had never been there before, and they're like, oh, you guys come hang out with us. And it was like that every single time we went there. There was always people just like Crip said, it was like friendships. It was way more than music, although the music was important, but it was a real community that was built and expanded outward that kind of changed the face of music in a lot of ways. Like, I don't think any of us thought we would still be rhyming in our 40s and 50s, but here we are, we're not superstars. We're not anything like that, but, every now and again, there'll be a kid that was like, wasn't even born when I started rapping. That was like, oh, you were on Can Ox's record, that's you? And, it's like, oh, that's cool. Like, you still checking shit. So, and that's all out of that scene. It just like provided opportunities for people to do things like, it was like, oh, we can make a record. Okay, cool. Let's make a record. Oh, we could go on tour. Cool. Let's go on tour. I didn't know we could do that. But we can do it on our own. And it like really helped build like a really good like work ethic and spread all over. And it was happening everywhere at the same time too, right? Like you had it in LA. Yep. You had like all the Midwest shit, like Scribble Jam was going on for years. It was all over the place. It was like just kids had the same idea all around the country and just created this universe. So it was important. Wiseguy, take us home.
Yeah, man, it was just it was indescribable and just beautiful to be there, to witness everything and the love. And me and Gaston have been blessed to have the opportunity to continue the tradition. When we hosted, we always made it a welcome vibe. Like we spoke earlier about nobody booing. We shut that down. Anybody tried to boo, anybody get on the open mic, good or bad, make you feel welcome. And that's how it was then. Other than Bob having to cut you off if you were on too long. Yeah, it was, and one thing that this generation, I think the main thing that this generation don't have, even though there are some open mics and stuff like that, is the ciphers, the outdoor ciphers. Like, you don't see those anymore. And when we had ciphers, we sort of had an etiquette, like cipher etiquette, and instead of everybody, because sometimes there were some ciphers where everybody just rhymed and cut each other off and were rude, but we would have ciphers that were like friendly and just fun, and everybody had love and would almost like an unwritten rule or whatever, just people going back and forth for waiting your turn. And after a while, with gentrification and stuff, the building coming up next to the Nuyorican, that changed over time, where it's like people complained about the noise when we're outdoors. We're like, we were out here before you were here. Like, but they live here now, so we had to respect them. But that whole generation of cats and ciphers isn't there anymore. And we used to you get your chops up on stage, you get your first bit of experience. If not your first experience on the mic, definitely the experience going over and over again on the mic of the Nuyorican, just to gain your comfort. And then the ciphers, you build your chops just rhyming in front of people and with your peers. And then it was like a culture. We all felt like we were part of it. It was almost like an anti-commercial vibe there that we all sort of had like a snobbery, so to speak. But and the funny thing about that is, you know, as time goes on, the commercial stuff that we sort of, you know, we didn't dislike, but we didn't like as much as the underground stuff. Now we die for that commercial stuff back then compared to the stuff now. It's like the stuff that we frowned upon somewhat. Now we're like, yo, that shit is dope compared to the stuff today for a lot of it. Yeah, man. We got to see like a whole lot of superstars on this here stage tonight. You know, we got to see a lot of people on that stage, and it was a blessing to witness. And you know, we all could say that we were there. You know, whether it was words with the signed acts, as far as underground acts, signed as far as independent labels, whatever, and then all that where everybody was dope on the open mic, like the who's who of people on the open mic, who all came out with records or all made names for themselves in the scene, or even if they didn't, we were all just down. You know, yeah, man, just a beautiful experience. And thanks to Rocky LaMontagne and Bobito for that.
Word up. Props to Rocky and Bob.
Word.
So on that note, we'll call it a night. Thank you for listening. And yeah, go check out some indie records, man. Go search like Stretch and Bob promos.
There you go.
All over YouTube. You can find all of them shits. They're great. I got giant folder full of them.
So what? How about before we go? Everybody get theirs off real quick as far as the stuff.
Yeah. My bad. Definitely. Yeah.
The music, the music.
Promote yourself. Yes.
Yeah. Promote yourselves, everybody.
Yeah, we normally do that. I just I got caught up in the moment. My bad. Yeah. So why don't you start for us?
I don't got much to promote. Just okay. Well, Wiseguy and Gaston. I was on the Lyricist Lounge Volume 1, and then we did a bunch of mixtape stuff with Apathy, and then Gaston. Things that a lot of people don't know. Gaston did 2 albums with the band Us Three overseas out of the UK. Him and our boy Akil Dasan. Schizophonic 2006, and then Say What 2007. A song that he did on that called Man on Top, which I helped him with actually, because he was like, when Akil writes fast and Gaston's like super lyrical, so he then like take the time with the rhymes, whatever, and puts it all into it. And he was sort of like, Akil was getting all these beats because he was just writing a lot. And Gaston called was like, yo, give me some ideas, whatever. And anyway, but one joint I gave him a bunch of ideas for, and then he used a lot of it. The song Man on Top, and that joint was on the CBS. They played it in one of these shows. What is that? MCIS New Orleans, I think. And then more recently, last year, my brother and I, we did a bunch of stuff for CBS Sports. We did 2 different previews for the Super Bowl.
Very dope, by the way. Very dope.
Very.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And then we did the post-game wrap-up. Unfortunately, that one didn't see the light of day because they took too long to edit the footage and lost the NFL rights. But we also did 4 animated vignettes where for 4 different for Black History Month, 4 different athletes from the past, and Lucy Diggs Slow. I forgot. So I can't think of it right now. But 4 different ones, and they had an animator do animation to it. We did them all in spoken word, with Gaston did all the music, and those animated vignettes just got last week found out they were nominated for a sports Emmy.
Damn, that's what's up.
That's dope.
Salute, brother.
So, yeah, so for and for a PSA, and so anyway, so that's dope. And then and they just had CBS just did last 2 Sundays ago during the Final Four weekend. They had the first HBCU All-Star game, and it was the two teams were named after 2 major coaches in HBCUs, Clarence Big House Gaines and John McClendon and Clendon. And so me and Gaston did a piece on each coach, and those aired on CBS where they edited pictures and footage with those on the pregame show.
That's
so that was
That's awesome.
It's tight.
Crit, what you got?
Damn, how do I follow that? I just have a record out, man. Like so it just turned.
The store's looking quite official, my brother.
Oh, thank you. That is the newest thing. I just released that's a weird word to use, but I just opened an online store at cryptic1.net. Mainly just to kind of, I love Bandcamp, don't get me wrong, just to kind of move my merch off of Bandcamp and collect that extra 10%. But all my digital stuff's still gonna live on Bandcamp. Yeah, we got the new Adam shirt that I'm wearing that you can't see because there's no visuals on this podcast, but that's like the latest piece of merch that I'm pretty proud.
I see it, and I'm a cop
dope
that.
ass shirt, yo.
Thank you.
Y'all can't see it, but it's dope as hell.
Yeah.
Shout out to Adams, man.
Yeah, shout out to everyone in Adams. But yeah, Parada, my last record just turned a year old. Finally got the vinyl. It literally took a year and 3 weeks after I ordered it for it to be in my hand. So yeah, those delays are real.
Dope ass record, by the way.
Thank you, man. Appreciate
Production, man. Crazy.
Thank you. And that's all Jest. Jest is a madman.
This is a genius.
Yeah, he is. Shout out to Jest. But yeah, that's really it. Well, no, I have one other thing. I did last year. I dropped an instrumental every Friday, and collected that as an album, which that you can get on your streaming platforms. It's called The New Beginnings. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Breeze, what do you got for us?
Your drums are fucking serious, brother.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at the lab. I'm looking at the lab. I'm like, is that S3000 XL?
Well, we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about that, yeah. But yeah, now I'm working on a new album. I had a joint out, I guess last year around this time.
Amazing record.
Yep.
Thank you, man. And just kicking the truth to young Black and Latino youth, and trying to get some kids to pass the AP test, AP literature. That's really my focus right now, and but yeah, always trying to do something, trying to write something, produce something. It won't stop. It won't stop.
So,
shout out to Camp Fever.
Shout out to my Juggernauts family.
Yes,
my Matic family. Our label. Word up.
I don't really have much. Human Zoo record dropped back in November. That we're mixing the project Ray West and I have is getting mixed right now.
That's what's
up. And then I've been writing for the next Cargo Cult record, and I finished my master's in 4 weeks.
Congrats, brother.
Right now.
Oh, wow, that's dope.
Yeah. And then we're gonna talk about having another 90s now.
I gotta get out there.
I think it might be towards the end of school, Maurice.
If it's towards the end of school, then yeah, I can probably make it.
So yeah, I gotta get back to these dudes and figure out what we're gonna do. But we're talking about it.
Shout out to Beer Wax.
Yeah, shout out to Beer Wax. Actually, I'm throwing something to Beer Wax in next month.
Oh, nice.
It's a beach show. still finalizing the lineup, but May 22nd. I don't know if this should air before then. If anyone's in Brooklyn, come through. Beer Wax, Sunday, 4 to 7. Be playing some live beats.
I love Beer Wax. When Beer Wax the Bronx happening, man? They got Queens.
I know, right? They got Queens now.
I
It only
swear,
makes sense
man.
for it to be in the Bronx. Yeah, they opened a spot in Queens.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
I would love for something like that to be in the Bronx. The Bronx, come on, y'all. Let's do better.
I really wish I could get one in my basement so I didn't have to leave the house.
Also a dope idea.
Yeah. Get on it, Chris. Beer Wax at home. Word up. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And the stories are always great to hear. And we'll have to do it again.
Yeah, man.
Word
Yes,
up.
sir.
Thank you for the invite, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to all of y'all, man.
Peace.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.